At the age of 30, I hated my life. I felt stuck and miserable, constantly comparing myself to others my age and feeling like I was hopelessly behind. I blamed everyone around me. My dad for forcing me to leave home at 17, my husband for not making me happy, and my job for not paying me enough. But the one person I never held accountable was myself. That changed when my husband delivered a harsh reality check that broke me completely. It was painful, but it was the wake-up call I didn't know I needed. At 32, everything shifted again, this time in the most unexpected way. I stumbled upon a DIY project online and something clicked. It might sound crazy, but that seemingly insignificant moment completely changed the way I saw myself and my life forever. The first 9 years of my marriage were incredibly rough. Mr. C and I were young and had no idea how to communicate. He's always been laid back, while I was the one who yelled, threw things, and let my emotions take over. Through it all, he took it in stride. He's never once raised a hand to me or called me out of my name. And when I look back on those years, I honestly don't know how he dealt with me. Of course, Mr. C wasn't without his flaws. He had his own issues that made our marriage unbearable at times. But when he turned 30, everything began to change. By the time he was 35, he had completely transformed into the man I had always hoped he would be. The problem was, I was still stuck in the past. I couldn't let go of the resentment and frustration I'd carried for years. By the time I hit 30, I hated my life. Instead of taking responsibility for where we were, I blamed him for everything. The last habit Mr. C had yet to kick was his smoking. I took that and weaponized it, lumping it in with everything else he had already managed to overcome, using it as proof that he was the reason we didn't have the life I thought we should. But instead of getting angry, he did something that stopped me in my tracks. Being the patient and loving husband he is, he gently took me by the shoulders, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "It's never enough. I've come such a long way, but it's never enough. I'm never enough. You don't see what I've accomplished, only what I still haven't done." Those words cut through me like a knife. They forced me to face the truth I had been avoiding. The weight of my blame wasn't just crushing him, it was blinding me to everything he had become. While his words hit me hard, they didn't completely change me. Not yet. I still refused to take ownership of my role in our struggles. I didn't want to face the fact that maybe I was also part of the reason we were in debt, that our marriage wasn't where it should be, or why we were still renting and couldn't afford to buy a home. But everything changed 2 years later. I had an epiphany so profound that it shifted my entire perspective. And to this day, I've never experienced anything like it. That moment was the turning point I didn't know I needed. I would say out of all the rooms in my home, I love my sunroom the best. I absolutely love it. So much light in here. I love the white brick. I love everything about it. There's just certain things I want to improve upon, but overall, I love the way it feels. When I walk in here, it's almost like I've stepped into a little bistro somewhere, like a little town, one of those little Hallmark cities that you see in the movies, where you walk in there and it's quaint and it's cozy. And that's how this feels to me. There are, like I said, a couple of things I want to improve upon. And at first I was going to start on the backsplash in the kitchen, but I think I am going to do the floors in here first while it's still cool. I really want to stain and poly them. I don't want to paint. I think the paint would look weird because it is broken tile, but I think staining and then putting a poly on them would look so much better. I like them, but I don't like that they're so red. I want them just a little bit more brown. And I think that will just kind of bring the whole room together. And I do have a table out here. Haven't used it just yet. I set it up for Christmas in a video just to see what it looked like with some chairs. And if you're following me in my journey this year, it is my no-buy, well, I'm not gonna say no-buy year. What I have said, I did a no-buy in January, but now I'm just changing my mindset about buying things. I am not going to impulse buy. I am not going to let my emotions take over. I'm not going to spend money on foolish things. And last month I did really well. I think I spent less than $9 on coffee when I went out. That was it. I didn't buy anything else. No home decor, no extra cleaning supplies, no nothing else. It was food, put gas in the car, and pay bills. But I don't like to call it a no buy month because that means eventually you may have a month where you do buy stuff. And I don't want to have a no buy month thinking in my head, well, next month I can buy stuff, because that's how I will think. So I'm just changing my mindset that I'm going to plan for things, because it's not like I'm never going to buy anything. I love doing things to my home. But this year we're planning, and at the moment I only have like $93 in my project fund I've set up, so can't do anything just yet. Might be able to go ahead and do the floor though, while it's still cool out here. And I also need to get the fans going again. That's going to be the biggest thing. So I'm going to have an electrician come over and give me an estimate. But once again, I'm not paying for any of this until I have the money. I'm not going into debt for this. We're not doing that this year. And I feel really good about that. And when it comes to the table, I do want to entertain out here more. You know, have my sister-in-law over, her daughter, my grandkids over, me and Mr. C to eat out here once we get the fans going. And I'm not buying anything. So I did have a sponsor reach out to me to review some of their beautiful black Windsor chairs. And I think they're going to go beautifully in this room. The design of these chairs is classic and timeless. You can never go wrong with a Windsor style chair. These are sturdy and made of solid wood. The wood finish is beautiful and goes perfect with my sunroom. And the chairs are very comfortable to sit in, and the back support is just right, and they have a weight capacity of 300 pounds. Assembly was very straightforward. I was able to assemble one in just a few minutes. And I appreciate how well packaged everything was to prevent any damage during shipping. My friends at Lubona have given me a coupon code to share with all of you. Use code 15Sherry at checkout to get 15% off your purchase. They offer a wide range of beautiful, well-made furniture that fits any interior style. I'm excited to start using my sunroom more with the addition of these chairs to my table, and I want to thank Lubona for sponsoring this video. The epiphany I had at 32 happened as I was sitting in the den of our home perusing online when I stumbled across a blog full of DIY projects. One particular post caught my attention, hanging door signs that labeled each room like laundry room, office, and kids' playroom. From where I was sitting, I could see down our hallway, and I thought how cute those signs would look in our home. But then the excuses started rolling in. I told myself we're only renting, so it's not worth it, or I probably can't pull it off anyway. And then, like a lightning bolt, a voice inside me asked, "Why can't you?" In that moment, it hit me. I wasn't just limiting myself when it came to something as simple as a DIY project. I was limiting my entire life. That realization was more than just a light bulb moment about home decor. It was the start of understanding how my own beliefs had been holding me back in every area of my life. It was as if I had gained a superpower in that moment, one that gave me the ability to take control and change my life. With this newfound perspective, I began to look at every aspect of my life differently. I stopped seeing limitations and started seeing possibilities. Everything I once thought I couldn't do suddenly felt within my reach, and I realized I had the power to create the life I wanted. I mentioned earlier that my father made me leave home at 17, but I didn't explain why. At 16, I became pregnant and hid my pregnancy for the entire 9 months. 2 months after my 17th birthday, I gave birth to my beautiful baby boy. You can imagine the shock I gave my parents. My father, being very old school, initially didn't even want me to come home after I gave birth, but he eventually relented and allowed me to return. To my surprise, he even bought a gorgeous crib for my son. However, he gave me an ultimatum. I had to be out of the house in 1 month. He did offer me the option to stay home and receive his help, but only if Mr. C, my boyfriend at the time, never came to visit me or my son. As much as I wanted to stay in the comfort of my home, I also wanted my son to have his father in his life. So at just 17 years old, when my son was only 1 month old, I got married. During that time, all I heard from those around me was negativity. They told me my life was ruined, that I'd never have anything, that Mr. C only married me because I had his child, that our marriage would fail, we'd always be poor, our kids wouldn't go to college, and we'd always be buried in debt. And the saddest part, I believed them. I absorbed their beliefs and didn't challenge them. I didn't strive for more because I thought they were right. But then years later, I had that epiphany that completely changed my mindset. That single moment shifted how I viewed myself, my life, and what I was capable of. It taught me that other people's beliefs didn't have to define me, and it set me on a path towards something greater. That epiphany happened over 20 years ago, and now, in my 50s, I still feel that same power to change my life. Over the years, Mr. C and I have experienced tremendous growth, not just in our marriage, but also in our relationship with God. The love we share now has grown into something far deeper and more meaningful than I could have ever imagined. We've been blessed with amazing sons and wonderful grandchildren who bring so much joy to our lives, but I've never stopped believing that things can always be better. The belief drives me in every area of my life, even when it comes to creating a home for me and my family. I know there's always room to grow, improve, and make life even more meaningful. I always dreamed of having a beautiful, peaceful home, a place where I could invite friends and family over to celebrate birthdays, holidays, or simply enjoy life on a daily basis. I often say that I want to create a life and home I never feel the need to take a vacation from. I've known people who go to the beach or the mountains on a regular basis to get away when they're struggling in their marriage or with life in general. But what they often don't realize is that geography doesn't fix your problems. No matter where you go, your problems follow you because you haven't taken the time to work on yourself. True peace and happiness come from within, and that's what I've been striving to create, not just in my home, but in my life as a whole. Every time I take on a project or style my home, I'm intentionally creating a space that brings me joy and peace. For me, it's not just about how my home looks, it's about how it feels. I style my home to evoke a certain emotion or a sense of calm and happiness. Growing up, my father was an alcoholic, and while he was a wonderful man and he worked every day, our home never felt calm. And I guess that's why I strive to make my home a home of calm and happiness by creating this environment that I never want to leave. From that one epiphany, I realized that as human beings, we have the ability to change our lives and solve the majority of problems we face. While we have faced our share of challenges, including illnesses, addictions, and other struggles, I wholeheartedly believe that we have far more control over what happens in our lives than we often give ourselves credit for. Each morning in my prayer, I ask God for a day filled with love, joy, peace, and productivity. But I also remind myself that 99% of that can be achieved through my own actions and the choices that I make throughout the day.
The fall is coming, I can feel it. so I'll throw